Okay, let's look at the origins of peanut butter and making foods out of nut pastes. Peanut butter. Who invented that tasty sandwich spread? Peanut butter is a popular type of food commonly used as a spread, though it may be used as an ingredient in various recipes. As many already know, the peanut butter is made from ground, dry roasted peanuts. Perhaps less well known is the origin of this spread in its present form, which may be traced to just less than a century and a half ago. Its more ancient origins, though, in other forms. The spread of peanuts. Now, according to researchers, the peanut plant probably originated in South America, either Peru or Brazil. There are examples of South American pottery from around 1500 BC in the shape of peanuts, as well as vessels which have been decorated using this legume bean. Europeans first came across the peanut when they were exploring Brazil. By that time, peanuts were being grown as far north as Mexico, and the explorers returned to their countries. They took the peanut with them, and from Europe, this legume traveled to Asia and then into Africa. Now, during the 1700s, it says African slaves introduced the peanut to North America, but that's not true. The African slaves didn't actually carry anything with them, and they didn't have anything on their hands, and they weren't transplanting plants whenever they came. So I don't know why someone would say something like that unless you're saying, well, they found it again, even though they already had it in Africa and brought it over. It just doesn't make any sense while they try to correlate African slaves having brought them here, because that's not true. Here's some dry roasted peanuts, man. Go to a ballpark, get you some peanuts. Mwah. Peanut paste and drinks. Peanuts have been ground in a paste for many centuries. In central Brazil, for example, indigenous tribes made a drink out of ground peanuts and maize. In Africa, crushed peanuts were added into stews, while some sauces in Chinese cuisine required ground peanuts as an ingredient too. As for peanut butter, it seems that the first people to have produced this paste were the Inca of South America, out of peanuts themselves, but nut paste from other nuts goes back many, many thousands of years. In fact, the Sumerians had recipes for such. Now, here's a lady that's picking some of these peanuts, which are also known as ground nuts, because they are found on the ground. Peanuts grows out of the ground. They don't grow up on top of a tree. Nevertheless, it would not be surprising if the peanut butter of the Inca bears no resemblance to the product people are familiar with today. That which is considered peanut butter today was invented during the 19th century. Several individuals have claimed to being the inventor of the tasty spread called peanut butter. Now, Kellogg's, the famous cereal brand, had a claim. The most prominent of these is Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, best known for invention of cornflakes. In 1895, Kellogg patented a process for the production of peanut butter, a food that was marketed as a protein substitute for people without teeth. Back then, people had a lot of problems with losing their teeth. Dentistry wasn't near as good, neither was oral hygiene. And even, George Washington had wooden teeth, blah, 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 and all these things. So this was something that was a soft, high-protein food people could use, somewhat processed, like ground beef versus trying to eat steak or chew up steak. You see what I'm saying? Kellogg promoted his invention by giving lectures around the United States on the health benefits of peanut butter, as well as serving to its patients at the Battle Creek Sanatorium in Michigan. One problem with Kellogg's claim, however, is that instead of roasted peanuts, his recipe called for using steamed ones. Really just a grammatical difference there, not too much. Same situation. But roasted peanuts probably do have a little bit more flavor to them, maybe a little bit. But boiled peanuts are good too. If you've ever had boiled green peanuts. Now, this is a delicacy from the South, and usually find it over in Georgia and things like that. But boiled green peanuts are quite tasty too. They're boiled in brine and things though for hours and hours to make them like they are, and it takes somebody's special taste to try it and everything. But a lot of people that try it really like it a lot. It's got a salty-ish back flavor to a intense peanut butter flavor, or not peanut butter flavor, but peanut flavor. So now, George Washington Carver, a renowned botanist, is also popularly, though mistakenly, credited with the invention of peanut butter. While Carver may not have invented peanut butter, he did develop a modified recipe of the product, so that's not inventing, which contributed to its early popularity, as was touted by Caucasians. Other claimants of the title include a New Yorker by the name of Rose Davis, a Canadian chemist named Marcellus Gilmore Edson, as well as an unknown St. Louis physician and his business partner, the businessman George A. Bale. Modernization of the production process, though, changed things because even that peanut butter wasn't quite right. When peanut butter was first invented, it was made by grinding the peanuts in a mortar and a pestle before putting them through a meat grinder. This was a tedious process, and it was difficult to produce peanut butter with the desired consistency, or something that was constant. It was only later on that the machines used to make peanut butter were invented. By who? One of the earliest peanut butter machines was made by Ambrose Straub, who was granted a patent for it in 1903, and that early. Here's an old can of Peter Pan peanut butter, made by Derby's. Sold out later, of course. The use of machines meant that peanut butter came easier to make and that it could be produced on large scale. Nevertheless, it was a food that could not be kept for long, as the oil separated from the peanut butter solids, and the exposure to light and oxygen caused it to go spoiled quite quickly, and it didn't last like peanut butter does today. So it's something that had to be made up right then. More of a seasonal thing, but that changed, because therefore the peanut remained a regional product and a seasonal product due to that fact. But this problem was solved during the 1920s when a patent called Peanut Butter and the Process of Manufacturing the Same was granted to a businessman by the name of Joseph Rosefield. The process patented by Rosefield involves the use of hydrogenated peanut oil, which prevented the peanut butter from separating. Rosefield would eventually launch Skippy, one of the most recognizable peanut butter brands today. And in a lot of products, we have partially hydrogenated vegetable oils and things like that are into them, and that helps to maintain it, but also it maintains a consistency. They also use like lecithin and things like that for emulsifiers and food smoothers, but that's another thing that was debated by Caucasian scientists. There's Skippy peanut butter. I don't know which one your favorite is. There's Jif, there's Skippy, there's Peter Pan. There's a lot of good ones that are out there. Some people like chunky, some people like creamy. So, the Inca civilization is credited with the first peanut paste or the first peanut butter, that it was done from the Incas, and then probably found by the Spaniards and so on from out of that. But that's because they had found the peanuts. There was nut paste made out of every single nut prior to that concept. Walnuts, pecans, so on like that. All of these things had nut paste made out of them in primordial times. What's the kids' thing that they eat nowadays that's kind of like chocolate, and it tastes really like chocolate because they add some cocoa to it and stuff, but really it's actually just made from a nut now, isn't it? Yeah, I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Oh my God, it's just escaping me now. But yeah, that kids' children's spread that's really like peanut butter, but it's like chocolatey, but it's really only made out of nuts. So same situation. So who invented peanut butter? Well, it really wasn't George Washington Carver. That was all a prop up by whites trying to entice Negroes to try to go to college. And I think that's been shown by them. If you go to the actual George Washington Carver education site that they show and the Preservation Society, they plainly tell to everybody that he didn't invent peanut butter. It's stated right there plainly by them, and a lot of historiographers have noticed this and stuff. Sadly, I did a book report on him in 8th grade. We all had to choose and go down the run, and I chose that one, and it was kind of devastating for me, even in fact, to find out, even in my encyclopedias, they said that he didn't invent it and that it came before that time too. But strangely, it's still touted that way, and black people still pump it up like George Washington Carver had done this, but really he did not. Anyhow, guys, like, share, and subscribe, though. But that's the origin of peanut butter, and it seems to go back into the Incas and stuff a few thousand years. No telling how long they were doing it before we had witnessed it. But then again, Caucasians were doing this same nut paste situation from trees from long, long ago. Long, long ago. Peace.